Everyone who has been indulging in Netflix binge-watching during this global health situation has most likely come across the hit Netflix series, Stranger Things. The series has 3 seasons, all of which have been a hit with audiences. Fans love the plot and the cast and keep up with the show's stars' private lives as well. Despite the show's vibrant and outspoken cast, there are still several facts about the show that most fans don't know. So, here are some exciting things you may not have known about the Stranger Things show. But first, a simple reminder on how to enter our brand new giveaway. We will be giving away either an iPhone X Max, the new iPad mini, or a MacBook Pro. It's all your choice. So be sure to leave a like, comment the keyword subscribe, and turn on notifications to enter the giveaway. It's really that simple. First up is about the beloved cast themselves. While it is unimaginable to picture anyone else playing the famous roles, it very well could have been a different cast. During casting, the Duffer Brothers took auditions of 307 girls and 906 boys to find the 5 lead actors for the show. Given that the main cast called for young actors around the ages of 11 and 12, it makes sense that the search for new faces was a cumbersome one. It was necessary to invest the needed time to find the people that would carry the show in the years to come. Second, the very name Stranger Things was not the initial name for the show. It was supposed to be named Montauk. The show's creators initially planned to have the show's setting be in Montauk, New York, and Long Island, and thought they would name the show after the set. However, they later decided that it was improbable that a real place would be faced with the events in the show, so they decided to set it in the fictional town of Hawkins. Additionally, they also considered the inspiration of the Montauk Project, a United States government experiment that was conducted at the Montauk Air Force Station. This project supposedly was targeted at developing psychological warfare and allegedly involved experiments on kidnapped children, such as seen on the show. The show also draws on another real-life government project, Project MK Ultra, which was an evil project on the 3rd episode of Stranger Things, was an actual project in the United States. It was known to be a mind control experiment started in the 1950s and stopped officially in 1973. The initial name was also due to the inspiration the writers took from Steven Spielberg's Jaws, filmed in Montauk. Jaws also provides inspiration for the police uniforms in the series, which are identical to the cop uniforms in Jaws and Jaws 2. Another scene of homage, the kids' Ghostbusters Halloween costumes needed special permission from director Ivan Reitman to be used in the series. The show has other nods to the texts that inspired it. One such instance is that the iconic Stranger Things title is the opening scene in the famous font that the 1980s Dungeons & Dragons handbook uses on its cover page. Motion graphics designer Richard Greenberg, who also designed titles for Superman and Alien, was responsible for the title of the show. Indiana Jones, The Walking Dead, and Stephen King's It also find homage paid to them in scenes which resemble shots from the famous movies. Additionally, since the show saw a meteoric rise in fame, its production team has been in conversation with the Game of Thrones production team. They have asked for pointers, especially regarding security, so that they could keep the season a secret from curious, prying fans. The series has also had an impact on its industries outside that of entertainment. The character of Eleven, played by teenage actress Millie Bobby Brown, has a liking for Eggo waffles. Kellogg's found that their sales of the product peaked 4 days after Stranger Things was released. Though Kellogg's was not involved in production before the first season, they have realized that there lies an opportunity to capitalize on the character's love for Eggos. The brand will now be involved in promotion using the show. Next up, we're going to talk about the Upside Down, the show's dark alternate universe. Despite only showing snippets and hints of the alternate dimension the first season, the Duffer Brothers already had a 30-page long document with details about the Upside Down. The writers planned to include several more scenes in the Upside Down from the offset, but the first season's storyline didn't allow for it. Now, let's think about the fact that, surprisingly enough, the show was rejected by around 15 networks when the Duffer Brothers pitched it. The problems were pinpointed to the show being centered around children, but not being a children's show. Networks thought that it would be too scary for a young audience and that the all-child cast would put off adult viewers. This is hard to believe now since the show was a smash hit on Netflix, but like Harry Potter, it had a rough time getting off the ground. Stranger Things has always been praised for its period authenticity. Everything from the sets to the actors' costumes and hair looks like it was taken directly out of a small town in the 80s. This is mostly owed to the fact that the props and costume designers spent a lot of money and time finding authentic vintage items from eBay and other online sites. The style is also inspired by the fashions of the time, and the sets feature several unique vintage pieces. Adding to this, the colorist added 80s film grain to each frame of the series. It was also shot on digital cameras to add to the authenticity of the setting. Next up is something that could shock even the most avid fan. It was very likely that star Millie Bobby Brown, who plays the iconic role of Eleven, the protagonist of the show, could very well have not played the part. When conducting auditions for the roles of all the protagonists, the Duffer Brothers took over 1,000 auditions. The most challenging part of finding an actress to play Eleven was the fact that she would have to shave her head. Understandably, most young girls were extremely hesitant or refused to do this. When Millie Bobby Brown gave her audition, the Duffer Brothers thought they had found their Eleven, but she was too hesitant about shaving her head. It took quite a bit of convincing, as well as showing the young girl photos of other actresses who had shaved their heads, to get her to agree to do it. This leaves one wondering, if Millie had refused, who would have played the character everyone has come to love? Even the storyline as it is could have had enormous differences. For instance, Eleven was meant to be a much more violent character, whose main trait was that she was a killing machine. Her powers were also initially planned to be out there in the very first episode, but once the Duffer Brothers realized that they had a full 8 hours to work with on the season, they began to hold back on how much they revealed to the audience about the true extent of Eleven's powers. Millie Bobby Brown was a great choice because her acting brought depth to a character that could quickly have fallen flat with the wrong casting. Eleven had a total of only 42 lines in the entirety of season 1. The necessity was to find an actress who could emote incredibly well with little dialogue. Millie's performance gained her several nominations and awards internationally. Winona Ryder also had to be convinced to join the show. The Duffer Brothers accomplished this during a 4.5-hour meeting with her. Ryder didn't even know the first thing about streaming shows online before she joined the Stranger Things cast. How different would the show would have been if the two leading ladies were played by other actors? The Demogorgon in the show is also an original creation. The Duffer Brothers wanted to make a very recognizable monster specific to the show. This led to the creation of the Beast with the opening head, whose silhouette is super unique and inspired a lot of fan art. They also insisted upon physical effects instead of CGI for all possible scenes. These practical effects meant a significant investment of time and money in costumes, especially for the Demogorgon monster. Even so, almost 50% of the effects in the show remained CGI as compared to their original goal of 20%. The eventual use of CGI meant a huge difference in the real-life sets from what audiences see in the final show. For instance, David Harbour describes the Upside Down as not scary at all. In the show, it's amazing and beautiful, but on the actual set, it's really silly. There's a bunch of purple piping that looks really fake and it pulsates, so it's kind of like you're in a haunted house. For the Spores, there's a dude with a big old pillowcase full of dandelions and a big fan, so you're walking down the hall and then this guy is just standing there blowing dandelions at you. The cast also had a significant part in the storyline. For instance, Gaten Matarazzo's character was adapted to have a lisp because Gaten himself has cleidocranial dysplasia. The kids also influenced the naming aspects of the show. For example, the Upside Down was meant to be called the Nether originally. The Mind Flayer was called the Shadow Monster, but the actors referred to them by other names that eventually stuck and made it into the script. Also, some cuss words were put into the script for the young actors in season 2. Netflix asked that the script be made more child-friendly, but the actors objected. Eventually, Netflix saw the first couple of episodes of season 2. It allowed quite a few curse words to find their way into the script. The show reached an epic streaming of 8.8 million people in the first 3 days, with 360,000 of these people finishing all 9 episodes in the first day itself. Talk about massive success, right? And that's all we have on secrets that you might not have known about Netflix's widely popular series, Stranger Things. The show is set for another season to hit our screens, and fans have been following every move the young cast makes. Their popularity now matches the show's, and they have all been involved in various other projects. It's safe to say that given the fame that they have found on the show, we will be seeing a lot more of the young actors in years to come. But for the foreseeable future, they remain very intertwined with Stranger Things, our favorite sci-fi series. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.